Okay, so here's another application for the frequency function, and this is having to do with sales data here. We have our different companies in here, their locations, and a few other things about them, and then we got the product that was sold and the category fell into. And we have here the total revenue, and here we have the cost of goods for that particular sale. Now we want to use the frequency function to count how many of the transactions are $15,000 in revenue or less, $20,000 in revenue or less, down to over $15,000 and so forth. So basically at each of these levels, all right? And we also have it where we're doing the cost. We want to know, as far as our cost of goods, how many of these transactions have cost of goods that are less than 5,000, less than 10,000, 15, or 20. And all we want to do in each of these cases is count how many there are within these ranges. So you can set, as you can see here, you can set the ranges up in any way that you want, as long as you've got them in a progressive order like you see here. All right? So let's try this. Let's start out with the first one here for the totals, okay, which will be this range going down. So ahead of time, as you learned from that last video, we need to select where the formula will ultimately go in all those areas right there. So we select that first. We then do the equal FRE, all right, and there's your frequency. We double click that. Now the data is going to be over here in column F. I'm not quite sure how far this is going to go down, so what I can do is I can select that, hold down my Shift, Control keys, and then hit the down arrow key, and that will take me down. So it was only going down about 75,000 rows. so that is a very useful keyboard technique. That was the controls. You start from the top, you do the Control Shift, down arrow key. Now, I'm just going to go ahead and elevator back up to the top here. All right, just to kind of get back into sync here. Okay, now, we'll do a comma, all right, and now it wants to know where the bins are. Okay, well, the bins are over here. Again, just like last time, I can't really get onto this one here because the formula is freeloading over I2. So I'll just start down here on the last one and just drag it up this way. It doesn't matter which way you go, it's going to be the same range. Now, think about how long it's taken to do this. I mean, aside from me talking, the amount of time it took to do this formula was nothing, all right? So now that we've put the formula in there, we're not just going to hit the Enter key, as you know, right? We're going to do the Control, Shift, and then the Enter. And voila. Look at that. Now, just like in the last example, what I did here is, because this was counts, what I did was I formatted these cells to show the pound symbol, like the number, right? Now the way I did this is I had, ahead of time, I had done the range like this, where I selected the range, and you can do this after the fact too. Select the range, right? You go over into your number dialog box. This is over in the Home tab. You go down to Custom, and you type in this. Now what I did was, I've got a quotation mark, pound symbol, quotation mark. That's the character that I want in there. And then what I did was, I then put a pound, comma, pound, 0, which means it wants numbers to go in there, and that's what you see here. So that is how you set that up. So just keep that one in mind. That's really good. You can do anything you want. You put any kind of character or characters that you want, as long as they are within that parenthesis area. So you can see real quick here, I've got like a, you can see what we have there. So it's basically the quotation mark, the pound, quotation mark, right? And then we just put a space in there and put the pound and then comma, pound, 0. That's all you did. You hit OK, and you would have gotten that. Pretty cool. All right, so let's see if we can do this next one. All right, so the first thing we need to do, now this is going to be for the cost, right? We want to know how many of the transactions fall within each of these ranges, right? So we're going to click and select the 4 cells that we ultimately will have the formula in. Equal FR. That frequency is kind of hanging off the screen there, but you can see it here. Double click this, all right? And then the data array, the data is going to be here. So we'll just click onto that. Control, Shift, down arrow key. That selects everything down. Then we'll go ahead and elevator back up to the top here, right? Move that over a little bit. Okay. And then we're going to put a comma in there, right? And now let me pull that down here. Okay. So then I'm going to take this bins, range, instead of it from the top, so I can't grab onto it there, I'm just going to drag it from the bottom. So I'll drag it up like this, all right? Close off my parenthesis, and then I'm going to do a Control, Shift, Enter. And there we go. That's pretty easy. So, I don't know. I think I think it kind of speaks for itself when you see something like this. Now, this is a great, I guess maybe a statistical analysis type tool that we're looking at here. Gives us a great idea of where our numbers are falling into. What ranges do they fall into? So it looks like, as far as sales that are in the 95 to 99,000 range, is going to be 3,338. All right, so whatever that means to whoever. If you think the bins are a little bit too detailed here, you could do something like, well, I'll take the first one here, I'll make that maybe 25,000, enter. I'll make this one 50,000, enter. 75, enter, and then we'll just do 99,999. Okay, so we do that. There we go. And then what we can do is we just delete the rest of these. Oh, and there we go. So it's a little messy, and we probably have to go ahead and just double click right on the border here to widen it up a little bit, but now you can see maybe a little bit different light. That might be the way to go. Now, you might say, well, what about all this mess? Well, you can't really do much about that because your distribution range was this whole thing here. You could though just redo it if you wanted to. You could say, well, okay, fine. Then what I'll do is I'll go back in here and I'll go back and redo the whole formula and everything, and then it'll be fine. But if you're just trying to just do something on the fly, you could do that. But again, hopefully this will be of use to you to some degree in some of your work that you have. Appreciate you watching the video. Take care.